Right, good morning. The time is 10:01 a.m. on Wednesday, January 19th, and the Guam Green Growth Steering Committee will come to order. And before we give updates, I guess the first update we have is mixed news. We do have a departure from our team, but I think off to good things for Guam, and certainly I think it's going to expand our access to national and international folks that are involved in this movement. So it is, I guess, with great congratulations that I announced that Lauren Swaddell, who has been our G3 main coordinator, is leaving the G3, and she is assuming a position in a very, very highly effective and reputable organization. So I think before we give our updates, Lauren, why don't you go ahead and share the news with everybody and let us know what you will be doing.
Hafa day, everyone. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. You're right. It's kind of like mixed news. I'm so happy to have been working with everyone in G3 for the past 2 years. This work has been really rewarding, and it just makes me so proud that we could all get together and do awesome work for island sustainability here on Guam, and it influences our region. So I think the impact we've had together has been tremendous and so inspiring. I was offered a position at the Pew Charitable Trust in their International Conservation Unit as a senior associate. So I would sort of be doing the same sort of work that I do with G3 for that unit at Pew, and it will expand my experience into the larger international platforms nationally. And I will be able to take my experience from the Pacific, from Guam to DC, and hopefully help bridge some relationships and some, help Guam and the Pacific thrive in the future. So I'm sad to leave you all, but I know you'll be in good hands, and you all have done such great work. And I won't be a stranger. I'll keep in touch, and I'll come visit at least once a year. So I'll see you all again.
When will you be leaving, Lauren? When is your last day with G3 and CIS, and when will you be departing Guam?
My last day working at CIS as G3 coordinator will be February 1st. And I leave island February 16th, should there be no blizzards and no flight delays. But yes, I'll be in DC February 16th in the middle of winter.
Well, Lauren, congratulations. And I would say that the Pew Trusts have been really a big change agent in the world. Of course, in the Pacific, they've been funding a lot of different projects to raise visibility on some of the emerging threats, and also have been able to fund a lot of solutions and a lot of research that in areas that had not been researched greatly. So congratulations. And with that, I will also recognize, of course, that our co-chair for the entire G3 movement is President Tom Krice, along with Governor Leongoro. And President Krice, do you have any words you might want to make right now? I guess it's part of our intro.
Sure. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and congratulations, Lauren, on your great position. And I look forward to connections. And as a matter of fact, I think we're planning an event for the Guam Society of Washington, D.C. and our alumni just a couple weeks after you get there. So I'll make sure you have the details in case you want to come and make sure you bridge your Guam to DC connections right away in your new place. So it'll be down at the wharf in DC at the offices of the implementation group. So I'll send you details. So congratulations to Lauren for that. I think building these connections, I keep saying that so many of the events that we have, like the connected to G3, including the MLK Day event for Serve Guam Commission and AmeriCorps on Monday, and the examples of the the garden raising and the aquaponics structures, and all the different groups that we have, that this group, I think, is, and CIS and Lauren and everybody have put us in touch with. I think the multiplicity of these groups and activities reinforces all of them. And I think the 17 Sustainable Development Goals emphasize the overlapping, that you can't just have an achievement in one of the 17. There's going to be overlap and reinforcement across the whole panoply of the goals. So I think what's happening in G3 is helping to reinforce the great work that's being done across so many different organizations. And then, of course, we see so many individual people who are connected in each of these groups. So I just like to emphasize that and thank Lauren for her leadership in all of this, and how important it is to us at the University of Guam to have our partnerships with so many really creative, energetic leaders doing so much interesting, and I think it's worth emphasizing, it's fun. There's a lot of fun going on with all of this. And I think it's so important to give people a positive, uplifting, forward focused kind of thing to do, because we have a lot of challenges that we're all facing. And I think having a positive and fun way to respond to that is so important. So thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Thanks to everybody for being part of the Guam Green Growth Initiative, and look forward to continued partnership.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will now recognize Dr. Shelton for his update.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor and President Kreis, and again, congratulations to Lauren. We at the University of Guam are very proud of her as being somebody with a lot of firsts for us over here. She was our first graduate student at the UOG Sea Grant program for the Guam Restoration of Watersheds Initiative, and my first graduate student as a PhD chair. And then she became our first Knaus Fellow in the National Sea Grant program, and she was working for a year in DC at the Coral Reef Conservation Program at NOAA. Then she became our first G3 coordinator, and off again to amazing things. And we look forward to remaining connected with her to bring Guam and all islands into that sustainable future we all care very much about. So congrats, Lauren. And next, I will share a few of the updates from the past month or so since our last steering committee meeting. Thank you to all of the working group members and the steering committee chairs of our different groups for continuing to move our efforts forward, tied to the Guam Green Growth Action Framework, which remains our island's most comprehensive public-private partnership ever created to achieve our sustainable future. And we have those groups here just as a reminder for our guests joining us today on the live stream or in the Zoom room. We have these 5 categories of action that are clustered around the different sustainable development goals, and we are implementing the sustainable development goals in locally and culturally effective ways to achieve that sustainable, prosperous, and equitable future for our island. So a few of the things that we've been doing in the past month or so since our last meeting, I'll give you some updates on the G3 implementation projects in food security first. And this is, as you know, we had a community garden ground raising in August. And this community garden in Hagåtña remains very active thanks to our implementation partners at Guahan Sustainable Culture and AmeriCorps Guahan Sustainable Culture. They have, if you're there in the afternoons on any weekday, you'll see the AmeriCorps members tending to the garden. And during the month, they also have additional events on weekends and evenings, such as the Nenny Garden activities, and they have great themes during holidays or events during that specific month. And then we had great news earlier this week in partnership with the Serve Guam Commission and the Vet Corps AmeriCorps program and the Mayor's Office of Telefofo. We were able to have a ground-raising ceremony for our second community garden at the Jeremy Newby Community Center in Telefofo. And so we had our partners come together during the MLK Day of Service. So we're really excited for the growth of this garden and all of the things to come out of here, the increased food security, the reduced dependence on imports. So this will continue to move forward in partnership with the Serve Guam Commission and our Guam Green Growth team. On the topic of food security, we continue to move forward with the aquaculture and aquaponics projects, and these are tied to the Governor's Task Force on Aquaculture, to our Sea Grant partnerships with the University of Hawaii, and also the GITA Economic Diversification Task Force with the aquaculture component. We have our Extension Associate, Mr. David Crisostomo, leading these efforts from our team here at UOG Sea Grant. We've announced in the past that we were setting up these community aquaponic systems, so we have a couple of them in place now. This is our system at Island Girl Power up in Dedido, and there are some fish inside getting stabilized, and Dave will be going back up there to Dedido shortly to add 200 fish to the tank and keep those growing. And we have the community volunteers to keep this up and running, and it's going to serve as an education tank so that others in the community and the village will be able to set up their own aquaponic systems for their backyards or for their small businesses. And then during the MLK Day of Service in Talofofo, we got our second one set up. And so as you can see, we had all the AmeriCorps groups very interested that day. So training began on site from that day of installation. And Dave has a third one being installed this week in Manilao with our nonprofit partner Harvest Grace International. And it's also a faith-based group, so that will be a really great partnership to feed those in need and help spread the education through these efforts. So those are the first three. We're also planning another one in PD and a couple of others. Dave continues to do the training on site at the Center for Island Sustainability, and our first tank that was donated by LMS as part of our public-private partnership for G3. So that keeps moving forward. Next on to an update on our natural resources initiatives. We had the last big tree planting event of the year was done in partnership with our Island Beautification Task Force, the Soil and Water Conservation Districts, USDA, the Department of Agriculture Forestry Division. So we did a grow event in Malolo, and planted 1,500 trees to cap off the year and the rainy season. And work continues to go on in the Grow initiative to prep new trees and maintain fire breaks and things like that, so that we're ready to roll and plant thousands of more trees when we come into the next rainy season this summer. Another update is the outreach events that we had coming up to the end of last year. The public law went into effect on January 1st that we no longer have plastic bags being passed out at retail establishments here on island. And our team went out into the community twice a week or more to 19 different villages. So let me just grab the numbers real quick. We passed out over 2,300 bags, 25 different stores. We went to restaurants, and we also helped out in the food commodity distribution in a couple of the villages. So just a few pictures from this event. We thank all of our team members, volunteers like Junior Achievement that came out to some of these waves and outreach events. And we also had the Guam EPA partners at almost every one of these wave events that we started out either in the morning or the end of the day to catch shoppers and make sure they were aware of the upcoming change in the law and to bring their own reusable bag when they go shopping. So that was a success, and we hope to see the community uptake and support for these efforts to reduce our local production of waste. Another update is in our workforce development area. We talked a lot last year about our Guam Green Growth Conservation Corps, which is a workforce development program to prepare our community for the emerging green economy. We had great success with our first cohort of 12 members that graduated in November, a little bit before Thanksgiving. They had gone to every village for island beautification events, and they had training in agriculture, aquaculture, renewable energy, invasive species, and more. Just a recap, these were some of their impact numbers, like recycling 70,000 cans, planting 2,000 food crops, installing 641 solar panels. And in 2022, we're excited for a lot more, because right now we have the recruitment going on to serve in the second cohort, season 2 of the Guam Green Growth Conservation Corps. Applications are now open until February 6, 2022. You can go to guamgreengrowth.org to put in an application. We have lots of them rolling in. We're excited for people who are passionate about sustainability and ready to do laborious but rewarding work in all of these different areas. At the end of the 5-month program, the University of Guam will award continuing education units to those who have earned it through this amazing workforce development training program. So please check out the website and email our team if you have any questions about that application process. Last week, unfortunately, we had to postpone temporarily the opening of our G3 Circular Economy Makerspace and Innovation Hub, but it remains open in our soft opening phase, and you can message or email Miracle Mugol, our G3 Circular Economy Coordinator, to schedule your tour today. But I'd also like to ask everybody to hold the new tentative date, and we'll send out official invites and get you all caught up again on everything that's going to happen that day. It will be February 15th, tentatively at 1:30, to have the next scheduled grand opening startup event for the G3 Makerspace. And we're excited to show you all the power tools, hand tools, the CNC router, laser cutters, and other machines and equipment that will allow us to take waste products and turn them into new marketable products for our island and contribute to the economic diversification of our island. Okay, Lieutenant Governor, that's my updates, and thank you. I'll take any questions as we go.
All right, thank you, Austin. Just a few updates before I hand this over to Lauren for her last meeting. But we do have a new co-chair for the Sustainable Alliances Committee, and that will be Carlotta Leon-Guerrero. She'll be joining Melvin Wampat Borja on that committee. There also is we have reconstituted the Hazard Mitigation Committee, and I know that Vanjie has been in contact with Tyrone Titano from BSP. And in this committee, we're going to be focusing on refreshing and re-examining a list of pending projects that are needed to harden or address critical infrastructure or ecology issues on Guam. For example, Vanjie and Tyrone have been talking about some areas for storm flood control, stormwater, things like that. And this will help prioritize and coordinate other funding streams that we believe are going to be open. So this one funding stream is going to be coming from FEMA hazard mitigation funds. But there are other infrastructure related grant funds that are being identified for coordination, so we can maximize the number of projects that are going to be funded that would address some longstanding issues. With regard to the infrastructure funds and the legislation that has been passed by the federal government, federal guidance is still pending for a bunch of the programs. So that includes the big spend on Broadway infrastructure. There may be some areas on the broadband that may not be eligible or available for Guam. There will be others, but those are all pending the issuances of rules. But there are already funding streams that are well intact that will be utilized for to push out additional resources. For example, there are regular grant funds that US EPA sends out in smaller ways to Guam Waterworks Authority and in conjunction with priorities set out by Guam EPA. And those pipelines are going to be expected to, the amount of grant funds will be expanded in those areas as an example, along with the regular stream of road projects for primary roads coming in from Federal Highway Administration. So there's an active effort making sure that we coordinate and effectively push out and prioritize projects that are in need of funding. The other thing is the Island-wide Beautification Task Force meeting will meet next Tuesday and will continue to meet every last Tuesday of the month at 11 o'clock. And of course, and the IBTF, which I chair and Dr. Shelton and others are part of, we take specific focus on roads, on the abandoned vehicles and white good issues. Of course, we continue to coordinate closely with Guam Solid Waste on the governor's and my announced movement for universal trash collection, along with addressing the issue of strays, so stray animals. So you'll we'll get into all of those topics next Tuesday. And then finally, there is going to be a high-ranking federal official that will be coming to Guam at the tail end of next week or the following week. I'll get the dates, and that will be the Deputy Assistant Administrator of the U.S. EPA, Office of Land and Emergency Management. He will be coming for a board meeting of the Association of State and Territorial Solid Waste Management Officers, which Guam EPA's own Conchita Taitano is the chair of. But we're coordinating his arrival and looking forward to an opportunity to engage the Deputy Assistant Administrator on some of the solid waste challenges that small islands and isolated communities are dealing with. And that, of course, includes the evolving situation with the recycling markets, and of course, the need for on-island or on-site solutions to reduce solid waste disposal in the landfill. So a lot of big picture issues that are very complicated, but I just have to say that at least here in G3, in partnership with Guam EPA and the Center for Island Sustainability and the university, we're really trying to identify areas for investment and attention to try and address the solid waste realities that we have living in a small and relatively isolated island. So more on that visit next week, and I imagine that a few people here will have an opportunity for engagement with the Deputy Assistant Administrator when he comes. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Lauren.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. So this is my last meeting with you all, and there's no words. You guys have been great. So yeah, I'll just get back into my updates. First reminder is that there are only 2 steering committee meetings before our next G3 biannual meeting. So keep meeting with your working group teams, focus on your categories of action to record your progress in achieving your action items, and if there are any changes that have that need to be made to the G3 action framework for your category of action. So just 2 more meetings until the next G3 biannual meeting, which will be in April. Next, we are continuing with the G3 dashboard expansion, and Rita will give a presentation at the end of this meeting on the Educated, Capable, and Compassionate Island dashboard expansion. And I will be reviewing the expansion for the Sustainable Alliances today, and I'll provide Rita with feedback, and we'll send it over to the Sustainable Alliance team leads for review. And Rita is also now working on the Sustainable Homes, Utilities, and Transportation dashboard expansion as well. So our goal is to have the ECCI expansion live by the end of either this week or the end of the month, pending approval. And for the Sustainable Alliances and Sustainable Huts, we will have those live for everyone to view hopefully by the end of February, pending approval. Moving on, we have made great progress with our G3 recycling and trash bins. We have 23 recycling bins that are ready to be distributed to our mayor's offices and other community center locations to help the community have more centralized locations to take the recyclables. We will be collecting aluminum, metal, and glass because those are the materials that are ready and easy to recycle locally. So we are working with iRecycle. Peggy Denny will be working with the mayors on how to monitor these bins and how to get the community involved, and she'll be collecting those materials and distributing them to the various schools for the aluminum cans to help the iRecycle program, and taking the glass and the metals to the other local recycling vendors so they can deal with those recyclables. We have 50 trash bins that we are nearly done with. They just need to have their decals put on them. And then we are waiting for more of the trash bin inserts. So those will be put out into the public parks and beaches and other public areas. And we'll be working on a distribution plan with DPR in the coming weeks. So keep your eye out for those bins to be out in the community and help our island figure out our trash issues. And with that, I believe those are my final updates. Any questions on those items? Okay. And so with that, we can now move on to our updates from our G3 category of action team chairs. So first, we will have an update from the Healthy and Prosperous Communities. And we have co-chair Lola Leon Guerrero and co-chair Mel Mendiola.
Hafadang, good morning, everyone. The theme for the Healthy and Prosperous Communities is we are printing money, okay? So we have not had a committee meeting, or rather we're due for a committee meeting, so we'll be doing that next. But we did receive some great notices. So BSP was awarded a number of grants out of the U.S. Economic Development Administration for some planning work in the transshipment industry, as well as additive manufacturing industry, so like 3D printing. $250,000 each. And then we were also given $375,000 for an agricultural master plan. So this will help us improve food security, planning towards food security on island. We've also made some headway with our Green Markets grant. So this is a $1.2 million grant that that GITA was awarded to help storm harden and expand the night markets at Manila, Agate, and the main market, the main recipient is the Sinhanya market, to build a green market. We were calling it green because the Sinhanya is meant to have like solar panels and things along those lines to power up the market, as well as, you know, selling vegetables and produce and all of those good things. And so we had some, we're at a standstill with this particular grant for a while because of some land issues. And we finally managed to get some great feedback from US EDA that we could press forward with a plan as far as getting the money awarded to Guam. One thing I did want to update, let everyone know is that GITA is right now doing the SEDS update. So our comprehensive economic development strategies. So if any of your groups have projects that belong in the SEDS, so this is how can generally help when your project is in a SEDS. It will help with going after other federal pots of money because it's part of the state planning grant or the state planning program. And so if you are putting a project in the SEDS is very simple. You basically write the name of your project, a little blurb, a paragraph about your project, and an estimated amount that the project is going to cost. And then you submit it to us. We then organize it with our documents. So we're going through that update right now. And we'll be doing a couple stakeholder meetings in the coming weeks, but you can feel free to reach out individually as well, or you can wait for our stakeholder meetings. And then I think that's, oh, and the other one was, you know, we did apply for a nice big regional Build Back Better for an Aquaculture Innovation Center. That was not awarded. But then Austin, Dr. Shelton also was a party on another project that was under Build Back Better, and they didn't get awarded either. So it's not for lack of brain power. It is because we were robbed. So I think that with that, the action item should be that the governor, when in her trip to DC, she needs to go over to USEDA and say, why did nothing get awarded that benefits our region? And USEDA has always been, they've been really good to us in the last couple of years, and we do have good performance with them. So I think it's important to understand, get some good feedback from that. And that's, with that, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mel. And Lola, did you have any updates that you wanted to add?
No, I don't. I actually had Mel report on what we're going to do. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And so next updates will be from Educated, Capable, and Compassionate Island. And today we have co-chair Dr. Okada.
Half a day and good morning to all of you. First, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Lauren for all her hard work. I think each committee needs to give her the recognition. She's worked really hard to corral us together to get moving when we get stalled. So I really appreciate her ability to, you know, corral all of us and get us moving. Our committee has really been focusing on the updates that will be provided later on the dashboard. We have a schedule that will go out to the rest of our membership later today for the meetings scheduled for the remainder of the year, so that we remain on target, on track. The colleges and the college and university has now opened up its doors, as has Department of Education in their, you know, bringing students back to the campus and ensuring that we have a sustainable and, of course, healthy learning environments for all of our students. And so I think I will defer any additional comments on what the committee has been working on, because the rollout of our dashboard is coming up, and we would appreciate any comments that you have once it has been presented, so that we can further review and provide some additional updates. So thank you very much. And I will ask Ms. Jane Flores or Dr. Kreis if they want to add anything to my comments.
I just want to also thank Lauren. Lauren, you've been amazing. I just want to note that the period poverty bill did pass. I want to thank Senator Amanda Shelton and the Guam Youth Congress for their work on this, because that will go a long way toward helping young women. And we are still promoting the menstrual cup with regard to sustainability, because it is a much more sustainable product with regard to that. So I just wanted to add that in there. Thank you. And Lauren, thank you again.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Mary, too. Just to comment that the Educated, Capable plank is particularly challenged now because, as just to reiterate, that it's challenged because of the pandemic. And so all the attention we can provide to helping students at all levels, from kindergarten or even pre-K all the way through graduate school, to help figure out how to sort of overcome the challenges of this pandemic period. We're having some enrollment difficulty here at UOG. Classes start today, but we're down several hundred students, so trying to get them to come back. It's mostly students who were enrolled and just haven't, carried on, and this despite the fact that we have the last of the rescue funds available. So just by registering, they get several hundred dollars. So just to say that that's a symptom of a general problem that I think we'll have to deal with on multiple levels. So there's sort of an immediate and a long-term interest in this particular sustainable development goal. So thank you to Mary, and thanks to Jane too, and of course thanks to Lauren.
Thank you, Dr. Okada. Thank you, Ms. Jane, and thank you, Dr. Kreis. So that's the update for ECCI, and unfortunately, the co-chairs for Sustainable Homes, Utility, and Transportation aren't in our meeting today, but they will be reviewing the Sustainable Hut dashboard within the next week or so. So Rita and I will be working with them on any of their comments, feedback, and revisions. So moving on to our update from Thriving Natural Resources. I saw that we have co-chair Vanji Lujan and also co-chair Fred Castro.
Good morning. We sort of took a little bit of a break, so I don't have necessarily a lot to report on, but I do want to say that during the month of December, I was working with Dr. King and the students from the School of Engineering and Stephanie Flores and Tyrone on developing green infrastructure and doing a pilot project. And I believe that that project will be accepted. We have 3 sites that we're going to be using green infrastructure techniques. The projects will be designed by the students from the School of Engineering, the next cohort of people graduating. And so this project will be funded through hazard mitigation funds. However, it's in partnership with the municipality of Jigo, with their municipal planning council, as well as one of the sites is with McDonald's. And so they are partnering with us. So it's very exciting to be able to have a project with the School of Engineering. And I think what we're hoping to see after the data is collected is to try to see if the techniques that they're going to be designing into these flooded areas using green infrastructure can be replicated throughout the rest of the island. We are also, under the Micronesia Challenge, we will be announcing a coordinator position within the next couple of months. We're looking to hire someone for the steering committee, so be looking out for that. That person will be working across the region to promote and support the focal points for the Micronesia Challenge jurisdictions. In addition, in February, there's going to be a climate change. Guam is part of the climate change reports out that will be happening. It's for the CNAS technical meeting. It will be February 1st. And so we're starting with the people that are involved in built communities, and then it will go into stakeholder meetings as well. And Dr. Romina King will be writing the Guam chapter for the climate change assessment. And also, the Micronesia Challenge invasive species goals are being drafted now. It's a report out from the invasive species meeting that was held. And so we'll be looking for that. We'll share that with the group. And so it's just a critical part of the work that is being done within the region to address invasive species. And we'll also be hiring a Micronesia Challenge young champion. They will be housed with Dr. Shelton at CGRAT. And so we're looking for a student to be supporting the Micronesia Challenge. Their job will also be to support the initiatives under the G3, Thriving Natural Resources. So Fran, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think you covered everything, Vanj. Thank you.
Thank you.
How about our follow-up on our question from last meeting?
Oh, Dr. Shelton, were you able to bring this up?
No, I'm sorry, we haven't been able to discuss that yet. The Lieutenant Governor and I, we're going to work on our plans going forward with as we transition Lauren out, and so we'll try to make this all part of the plan going forward for the future steering committee monthly activities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing, Vanji, I think that the Oceans Conference that was planned for Palau in February has been rescheduled, I imagine, due to the worldwide situation with the surge.
Yes.
That's been rescheduled. There's a new date?
April 13th and 14th, right? So we're going to, with the assistance of TNC and Trina's organization, we're going to have a side event for the regions. And so the Micronesia Challenge will be part of the side event with the support of TNC, MCT, and the other partners within the region.
Right, and that Oceans Conference is to be held in the Republic of Palau.
Yes. I believe the governor as well as Dr. Shelton will be attending, and Carlotta.
Yeah, I just wanted to add there real quick. We have the 13th annual conference, University of Guam Conference on Island Sustainability the week before. So now that our Oceans Conference has been rescheduled and it's to happen right after us, we need to plan out how we could use that opportunity to have Guam being a launching point the week before with all of the people coming through to our Oceans Conference in Palau. So we'll be thinking a little bit more about that. And so I had a couple meetings this morning with the Climate Strong Islands Network, which is one of those other groups that feeds into our Sustainable Alliances effort. And I think tomorrow morning I found a way into a State Department meeting to hear about the planning efforts. And so hopefully we'll be able to get all these pieces together with Micronesia Challenge, G3, Local 2030 Islands Network, and the Climate Strong Islands Network. We'll put these together to make sure that Guam is going to stand out and benefit during these international gatherings.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vanjie and Fran. And in the chat, Deputy Director Michelle Lastimosa of EPA said that Guam EPA, Guam Energy Office, UOG, and Guam Power Authority have been working together along with US EPA's Air and Radiation Division to identify and coordinate clean energy opportunities for Guam. There's a grant opportunity through DOE, so I'm guessing Department of Energy, not Education, Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy for TA for remote islands and island communities. Thank you, Michelle. We'll make sure that those are captured in the notes and the meeting minutes. So Thriving Natural Resources. Next is up. Sustainable Alliances is up. And today we have co-chair Melvin Wampat Borja and vice chair Trina Leberer.
Today, thank you. We are continuing our research-based projects and reports that we've been working on as of late. But in terms of update, we recently had a meeting with our new member, Carlotta Leongro, who'll be joining us, Lieutenant Governor, and James Biernes over at the East-West Center. So some new, not new things, but more kind of adding layers to what we're already doing is the work on the regional side to try to strengthen our ties to our neighboring governments, but also to ramp up our participation in regional organizations. So there's still the standing question of what we're doing in regards to the Pacific Islands Forum and the Micronesian Islands Forum. But we're hoping that this work with our regional orgs and our partners at the East-West Center, that we can come up with a good strategy on how to respond to the Micronesian exit. Thanks for the update on the Oceans Conference. That's something that we've also been tracking. Trina's really been playing lead on that effort. I'm happy to hear that there's an opportunity for us to take advantage of their rescheduling. We did complete, not entirely our project, but it is associated with the work that we're doing. The self-determination study for Guam has been completed, and so we're hoping to be able to utilize that in our engagement with our regional organizations, as our work is really focused on how we increase our ability to act as sovereign in regards to our sustainable practices. I also did want to report that we did have a meeting with the UNPO, the Unrepresented Nations and Peoples Organization, of which we are a member. And there has been significant work on their side in regards to official filings with the UN Special Rapporteurs. We did have, some of you may have met with the UN Rapporteur that passed through here for minority issues. But he did release a statement. We're still waiting on his final report. but his engagement was great on this level. He did meet with the lieutenant governor while he was acting governor at that time, and he definitely engaged us at a higher level than we anticipated. So we're hoping that this work with the UN Special Rapporteurs and the collaboration with the UNPO is going to help to give us some traction on the international level. But also there was just an announcement recently that the US Senate will be convening a full committee hearing on the status of the territories, and coincidentally, the governor will be in DC at that time. So she has been invited and will be appearing before the committee, which is a great thing for us. But we'll see how that committee hearing turns out. That's all I got, unless Trina, if you want to add anything.
Thanks, Mel. I would just add that I also had a quick chat with Carlotta yesterday, and we're going to try to plan a longer chat next week to talk about how to leverage the Pacific Island Council of Leaders, PICL, as well.
Oh, thank you. That's I kept trying to figure out what I was forgetting, the cool acronym group, PICL. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel and Trina. Up next, we have data and public engagement, and I'm wondering if Kyle Mandapat has an update to report on behalf of their team.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you for everything you've done. Don't worry, we're going to work together again sooner than later, right? Right on. As we continue to work together here on the island, we have been working within our committee, and we're going to be having our next committee meeting very shortly. I do want to take this time to also thank our friends. Can you hear me? You sound really muffled.
Better.
I'm better now? Okay, it was my ear. I'm sorry. But thank you, Lauren, and thank you to everyone. As I mentioned, I want to say thank you to our media partners as well for all of the great support that they've lent us over the course of the past several months with all of our events and all of the great outreach that we've been doing. Thank you so much for that. We have great coverage opportunities and other upcoming events, including our rescheduled G3 Circular Economy Innovation Hub and Makerspace opening. That's going to be happening very, very soon, as Dr. Shelton had mentioned. We also have photos and video bureau available for any stories that our friends in the media might as well. So we hope to have, like I mentioned, I don't know if I was muffled during it, our next committee meeting very shortly. And we're looking forward to cementing a calendar for outreach and events for the rest of the year as well. That's what we're working on. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. And if there was any issue in recording the notes for the meeting minutes, I'll just have you review them and make sure the update is accurate. Thank you. And lastly, Kyle DeHelig reporting on behalf of the G3 Youth Ambassadors.
Off a day. I'm so glad and excited to hear everybody's updates. It's honestly very refreshing. Just two updates from the Guam Youth, Guam Green Growth Youth Ambassadors, one of which we participated recently in painting the recycling bins that are going to be distributed. This was with Lauren to the mayor's offices. And our second update is we are in the works of considering a new project for the Guam Green Growth Youth Ambassadors, which is to do podcasting. So we're looking at trying to uplift stories by youth environmental organizations, and we'll see where we are in the next coming months, but we're excited for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. All right, so that wraps up all the updates from the team leads. Are there any last questions for the team co-chairs?
Were you thinking, Dr. Shelton, that we would have a segment within the CIS conference that would highlight the work that we're doing? Do you think we're going to be having one of those, a session?
We will have the G3 biannual meeting like we had at the past one or two conferences. So it'll be a several-hour event where we do all the official updates and make any official changes to the G3 action framework. But we'd also expect to have some integration in the plenary and breakout panels if there's anything that we'd like to highlight more specifically. We'll save some room for that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. And with 9 minutes to spare, we have our presentation from Rita Bernardo, G3 Associate Coordinator on this, excuse me, on the Educated, Capable, and Compassionate Island dashboard expansion.
All right, half a day, everyone. So I'll just quickly share my screen so that you guys can see. Oh, I hope this shares. Oh no, there's a security thing. Sorry, some technical difficulty. Please wait while I figure out how to share my screen. I'm using a temporary
Try
laptop.
now. I think, yeah.
Okay, so I will actually have to exit the Zoom and join again. It looks like a setting issue with my laptop. So sorry about that. I'll join in just a second.
I guess while we're waiting, one of the things maybe we share is that we recently received some pretty good, I guess, praise for the Guam Green Growth being involved in action projects compared with, a similar organization that we're working with. But I would just say that continue meeting, and as Vanjie just kind of taking off on what you were talking about with the sustainability conference. Maybe if you have a vision or suggestion on, how we might want to highlight some of the action projects. I am also looking at it as a way to expand engagement with folks. So a couple things we're trying to work on with Dr. Shelton. Of course, we're going to have a piece that will be focused on youth engagement. That will be part of that, but also looking at using this as an opportunity to really further examine the situation going on with the housing crisis that we're experiencing, both from the labor side and material side, but also, just trying to bridge the gap and see how the professional industry organizations, what role they'll be playing. All right, so Rita's back on.
So sorry about that. Let me now share my screen. All right. So I'm super excited to hear everyone's updates. So this really leads up to the development of the build out for the Educated, Capable, and Compassionate Island. I will just briefly, talk about some of the high points or high level updates that were built out into the dashboard for these web pages. And so here we go. This is the category of action webpage for Educated, Capable, and Compassionate Island. And just for the sake of this presentation, I'll refer to this category of action as ECCI. So the layout has not changed. What has been updated is we did include 2 new primary indicators, which is adults with industry credentials as well as violent crime rate. So this is going to be tracking at a high level our goals in skill training and job preparedness, as well as peace, justice, and equality. So that has been approved by the ECCI team leads to include into the primary indicators. And with that, we also have built out those focus areas or subcategories of action web pages. So that is going to be linked here on this web page for navigation purposes. Right now, I just want to reiterate, we are building out our navigation bar. So as you can see here at the top, the only way you're able to navigate to these web pages is through the actual category of action web page, which right now for ECCI is this one. So we are working on building that in the very near future. And then as you scroll down, you will see the related sustainable development goals that are aligned closely with our G3 goals, especially in this category of action. So just want to quickly highlight that layout. And so with that, I'm going to jump straight into the 6 subcategories, one being quality education. So this one, this subcategory is talking about improving graduation rates. So we have all of our 3 primary indicators talking about graduation rates in terms of the GDOE high school graduation rates, and all of the relevant supporting indicators for that or data as well as Guam Community College graduation rates, and the University of Guam graduation rates. And again, towards the end, you'll be able to also reference some relevant resources and links. So here we have like the annual State of Education or Public Education report that is produced by the GDOE every year, as well as the fact books that are also annually produced every year. And when we scroll down, again, this is a way to navigate to those next subcategories that we added here. Next is the sustainable and compassionate curriculum. So I do also want to note, I forgot to mention in the beginning, these web pages are not yet live. As Lauren mentioned previously, these are still currently under review and feedback. So just making sure that we incorporate any additional resources and making sure that the ECCI dashboard is appropriate and accessible. This presentation is kind of a sneak peek. But in this subcategory for sustainable and compassionate curriculum, we're highlighting the development of curriculum and service learning opportunities that focus on relevant topics to the SDGs. And so here we highlighted the process or the progress that's being, or the development, I should say, the development process that's being done for environmental literacy and curriculum on sustainable development. Currently, there are topics in climate, environmental science, government and justice system topics that are being taught in the science curriculum and social studies curriculum through the GDOE system. So there is existing curriculum, it's just not like a separated curriculum. So I just want to reiterate that, and that's included, information is included here. And then we do have information as well on initiatives around mental health and respectful and healthy relationships. So I don't want to go too in detail with this, but there are some sensitive topics that, or data that we are including on the dashboard that we have our ECCI team reviewing to make sure that we're presenting it in an appropriate and accessible manner. So we are starting to think about incorporating content warning for any data that may contain any triggering information. So that's something that's currently under review. And then again, as we scroll down, we'll be able to see all the relevant resources and links to the appropriate government agencies or organizations that all tie to this work. And then again, you'll be able to scroll down and have that navigation feature to go to the next subcategories in this category of action. And so the next one is sustainable educational facilities. So this subcategory is focusing on integrating efficient and smart energy, as well as smart or more efficient utilities and community solutions in our campuses. So I did highlight like the energy conservation efforts, as well as resources on the, I guess the recent, or not recent, but the previous energy audit that was done in July 2013, as well as some of the efforts that was also done through the G3 Conservation Corps, which was installing the solar panels at the John F. Kennedy High School, and then as well as all the other sustainability efforts that are being implemented at GCC and UOG, and kind of tying as well to the makerspace, all the waste initiatives that are happening through the iRecycle that we're also doing work with our recycling bins. That's included here because iRecycle works closely with schools to collect aluminum. So that information's here, and we're building this out more to include like community gardens as they are as they become available near schools or on school campuses. And then again, there's more resources here talking about all these different initiatives that are happening relevant to this subcategory. And then the next one is skill training and job preparedness. So this webpage is diving deeper into talking about education and workforce development training opportunities. So it goes into detail about industry certification. So again, this is our new primary indicator that we added, which is the number of adults with industry credentials currently. as well as information on higher education opportunities that are being available, through GCC and UOG, and how that is translating into the economy and the labor force. And then finally, we also included information on the unemployment rate, which is also a primary indicator, looking at how we're tracking with that. I think this is the most recent since last year. And we also included information about how the pandemic has affected our economy and the unemployment rate. So that information, as well as the Guam Recovery Research Project article on how COVID has impacted Guam's residents and businesses, is also linked here, and additional resources are also linked here with the Guam Department of Labor for more information on employment and skill training and apprenticeship, and all of that information is included here. And then we have our fifth one, which is decent work and economic growth. This is talking about protecting our labor rights, as well as a livable minimum wage. So we have information here on what's been filed for any potential labor rights violations through the Guam Department of Labor, as well as information on what the employment and wage earnings look like for the 10th percentile, as well as the 90th percentile. And we were even able to break down what that looks like by occupation group. So you could see, what occupations are making how much in the 10th percentile and in the 90th percentile. And we also talked about what the impact would look like for a minimum wage increase, as we did have the recent minimum wage increase in September of last year to $9.25. So that's also included here for more information. We also included the minimum wage study of 2017 that was conducted to look at the impact of the $7.25 minimum wage to the $8.25. So that's a great read too, a great resource that we provide here. And then of course, more resources through the Guam Department of Labor around labor rights, and just for people to be able to make sure they're able to have resources on any Fair Labor Standards Acts and child labor laws. So that's all included here. And then finally, we have the last subcategory of action, which is the peace, justice, and equality. So this is focusing on reducing all forms of violence, promoting the rule of law, and empowering young women. So we could see here the new addition of the primary indicator, which is our violent crime rate, which is reported annually by the Guam Police Department in the uniform crime reports that are published. And again, we do understand that there's sensitive data. So we do have content warning built in before the user is able to read more into specific data about like the types of offense and violences that are happening on our island. And then we are still working in progress on this. We're including officer training. So we did get data from the Department of Youth Affairs on the percentage of officers being trained, and we are working to get more information from like Guam Police Department and all other agencies that do have officers trained to do this type of work in making sure that we have justice and peace in our communities. I do want to highlight that at this time, we did include information on the Guam Peace Officer Standards and Training. So the Post Commission, which is the agency or the organization that sets the standards for training of peace officers on Guam. So that certification is available through the Guam Community College. So there's more information through that site as well. And then we also did mention youth empowerment. So there are like a couple initiatives that we did want to highlight, which is the Play by the Rules program that is incorporated in the Department of Youth Affairs programming to really teach students about, their legal rights, as well as preventing youth crimes, as well as the recent Project U youth program that was launched in the summer of last year through the Guam Police Department in partnership with many agencies. And then finally, we also highlighted the women empowerment work that's being done, just like Ms. Jane has mentioned, the Period Poverty Act has been signed. So free menstrual products are now available on all campuses on Guam. So that's really amazing. And yeah, so right now there's, this is pretty much it for ECCI. We are still just including some final revisions or feedback. And so we should have this live, if not by the end of this week, then by the end of the month. So if you do have any feedback, you know, as you explore this, once it becomes live, please let me know. And I'm happy to find ways that we can include this data or the information on our dashboard. All right, I know that was pretty quick, but happy to take any questions.
I think that's great work, Rita. Thank you very much. I'm really actually assured that we have folks on Guam that are able to really translate the data to a usable format so that the public can consume it. So excellent work, Rita. Thank you very much. There are some other stuff. I guess maybe we'll talk on the side with Austin and Lauren, but I think we probably need to establish a pipeline between you and Dr. David, who is who has a role with both Guam Behavioral Health and Department of Public Health, and I think might be able to establish some great pipeline of data for a lot of the health things that we that are so important for us. So thank you so much.
Awesome, great, thank you.
All right, Lauren, do you have Lauren? To you for some parting words before we adjourn our meeting. I know this, you've been saying it along there, but this is it.
Yeah, I know. Well, first I want to acknowledge Rita and all the amazing work she's put into the dashboard. If you caught her say, so this is about it for the ECCI dashboard. This was a lot of amazing work. This build out has been the most complicated so far because it's had ECCI has 3 focus areas, and just trying to figure out how to deal with triggering information and information of graduation rates from all the schools and information from all the entities involved in this focus area has been incredible. So thank you, Rita, for all the work you've been putting in this. This dashboard is awesome. And I wanted to just note that the link to the dashboard is in the chat. You could type g3dashboard.guam.gov to see all the pages that are currently live. And I do want to just remind everyone that the Local 2030 Islands Network data and dashboards to support resilience community of practice will be launching at the end of this month. Rita and I and Dr. Shelton will be in attendance, and I will be giving a short presentation on Guam's experience with the dashboard, and Rita and I will be in the various or in separate breakout rooms to be able to provide you know, the Guam experience in like those like more in-depth sessions. So I don't know, I'm pretty shy and nervous about just saying a farewell and closing words. It's just been so great working with everyone. I told Dr. Shelton so many times, like this was like my dream job. In one of my application essays to the Canals Fellowship, I said, you know, I want to work on Guam, partnering with various local agencies, federal agencies internationally to help advance sustainability on our island. And I really am so grateful that I have been able to do that for the past 2 years. Guam will forever be my home and will forever be a place that I think about in how to make progress in the world in general. So it's bittersweet to leave, but I'm really looking forward to the continued path that I have before me. I think I'll be able to build a great experience, build more relationships, and I'll still keep Guam in my mind, in my eyes, and in my heart. So thank you all of you for making this work so much more enjoyable. I love corralling you and just like reassuring you that you all can do this, because you really can. And it's very obvious that this work can be done. So Viva G3, Viva G3 Working Group, and Viva all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren. I see Senator Toniata in the room, and both of us are proud to claim you that Lauren is from our hometown of Sinahanya.
Viva Sinahanya.
Okay, before we leave, I know that we have Jackson Stevens from PDN in the room. And so Jackson, do you have any questions for the group before we close?
No questions, but thank you for the opportunity.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. Stay safe, have a good day, and we will see you next month at our meeting. And Lauren, we're very excited for you. You know, I know you're going to accomplish good stuff out there and increase our engagement for Guam. So best wishes, very exciting time for you.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Viva Lauren, good luck to you.